On this day, 6 years ago, on the 14th of August 2013, Rabea Square and the Nahda Square witnessed the absolute worst massacres in Egypt's modern history. Hundreds upon hundreds, literally over 1,000 people were killed in a matter of minutes. What were they doing in those squares? They were protesting the military coup that ousted Egypt's first ever democratically elected president, Dr. Mohamed Morsi. The prick, the coward who led the military coup, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who has been president ever since, by the way, got away with massacring over 1,000 Egyptians simply by labeling them the Muslim Brotherhood. Over 1,000 Egyptians in one day. Let that sink in. Right after the massacre, classic move. A few guns, a few AKs were thrown amongst the dead bodies to say, oh look, they were shooting at us first. But the funny thing is, this was a familiar scenario that previously occurred in Yemen. In Jum'at al-Karama, the Friday of Dignity, in which 45 people were killed with sniper bullets to the neck and to the head, and 200 were wounded. Same excuse, oh they were shooting at us first. Same thing in Bahrain, at al-Manama, at the Pearl Square, the GCC roundabout, when the Dir al-Jazeera got involved and rolled in with tanks from Saudi Arabia and massacred 120 people and wounded over 1,000. Bro, that tiny country of Bahrain, that's probably half of their population. After the massacre, throw a bunch of guns in there. They were shooting at us first. Label them the Muslim Brotherhood. Get away with murder. Now, in all fairness, prior to the military coup, there was protests. I would say hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Egyptians out there in the streets protesting Dr. Mohamed Morsi. But why? Why were there people in the streets? Because there was freedom of expression. Now keep in mind, Egypt had just came off the rule of Hosni Mubarak, who was president for 30 years, and he was preparing his son to take over after him. How did Mubarak come to power? Mubarak came to power after Anwar Sadat was assassinated during a military parade. How did Anwar Sadat become president? Anwar Sadat became president because he was the vice president of Jamal Abdel Nasser, who died from natural causes. How did Jamal Abdel Nasser come to power? Jamal Abdel Nasser came to power after the 52 coup against Malik Farouk, the King Farouk. So like, that was the transition from Egypt being a kingdom to a republic. So again, Morsi was Egypt's first ever democratically elected president, and I'm gonna keep on emphasizing that point. You know what's funny though? شر البلية ما يضحك. Egyptians were really out there in the streets a little over a year after Dr. Mohamed Morsi rahmatullah alayh assumed power, protesting corruption, him not fulfilling promises and what have you, right? But Sisi has been president ever since 2013, right? And he just changed the law to enable him to remain president up until 2034. And the democratic quest that really truly cares about democracy in Egypt is on the sidelines clapping for him. No, not a single criticism. And people are not in the streets. Why? Because there's no freedom of expression. You remember the movie The Dictator? It's either boy or abortion. Now in Egypt, you're either silent or dead. Let me take that back. You're either silent or dead unless you're CCS, Morsi no, shut up your mouth, Obama. And even if you remain silent, the fact that you were somehow associated with the Islamists or the Muslim Brotherhood, you were rounded up in thousands and placed in these 19 new facilities that Sisi has built by 2016. 19 new jails. Prior to 2011, there was already 43 huge, spacious prisons in Egypt that had enough room for everybody. But no! Forget infrastructure, forget the people that are dying from hunger. Let's build more prisons to fit in more Muslimics. You know what else is crazy? Ever since the coup, Dr. Mohamed Morsi, rahmatullah alayhi, aka Egypt's first ever democratically elected president, was imprisoned in terrible conditions. And despite all of Egypt knowing that he suffers from severe health conditions, he was not provided with the proper medical treatment, right? Which ultimately led to his death recently, June 17th, 2019. How and where? Dr. Muhammad Mursi died inside the courtroom while on trial, inside a soundproof cage that was specifically designed for him to keep him silent during trial and to only let him speak when they want him to speak. And after giving his testimony, he collapsed and he was laying there lifeless for many minutes before bothering to check up on him and finding out that he rahmatullahi alayh had actually passed away. Because frankly, they didn't give a shakhbuz. And despite him dying in a soundproof cage, the statement that his death in those specific circumstances made generated a sound wave which traveled throughout the whole globe. There were protests in New York, Istanbul, Berlin, London, some cities, even in Arab countries where you're allowed to protest without being massacred and having your death looked over because you're labeled as a Muslim Brotherhood or they mysteriously found guns by your dead body. Despite his death, they were still so afraid of him. Sisi was so frightened by a lifeless Morsi corpse that he prevented him from even having a proper Islamic burial where people would attend. His village was barricaded and sieged by the military to prevent people from gathering and potentially starting a whole new revolution. He was buried at, around this time at 3 a.m. with only his immediate family being allowed to be at the burial site. He will always be remembered for this quote: "Do not kill the lions of your country, lest you be eaten by the dogs of your enemy." Now, with all that being said, I don't want you to believe a single word I uttered. Oh, dude, now you're telling me this? I don't want to formulate anybody's opinion regarding anything. What I do want you to do is go, research, and if you find something that I said wrong, educate me and I'll stand corrected. I don't want to argue with you, you big man. Look, I know this is an extremely sensitive topic. All those massacres, Rabea, el-Nahda, and what have you. And no, I wasn't smirking throughout all those videos. I was actually smiling because I'm genuinely happy speaking about this. Because at the end of the day, I'm Muslim and I believe in martyrdom. I believe in shahada. Those people were martyrs. It's in the Quran. You cannot be a Muslim if you don't believe in something that's mentioned in the Quran. Right? Those people are in a much better place. And I guarantee you that if any one of them comes back and sees what Egypt is today, they would much rather be dead. And look, a little bit of oppression is bad. A lot of oppression is amazing. You know why? Because people can only be patient for so long. And after that, it's Anwar said that. بس كده يا مؤمن.